What's going on, Vikings fans? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, we got a good old-fashioned Minnesota Vikings mailbag where I answer your questions about our favorite football team. Favorite show here I do every week. Can't wait to dive into it. But before we dive into it, we're closing in here on 100,000 subscribers. Now, we are 35,779 away, but I want to hit 64,500 on today's show. So if you guys aren't subscribed just yet, hit that subscribe button today. We got mailbags, previews, injury videos, short-form content, live shows. We do the whole nine here at Vikings Now. So if you guys haven't subscribed just yet, change it. Hit that subscribe button today. And shout out to all 64,000 people who have already hit that subscribe button. You guys are the best fans in the world. But if you haven't, change it. Hit the subscribe button today. TJ for Life coming in with the first question saying, should the Vikings trade for Seattle Seahawks cornerback Riq Woolen? So if you guys haven't heard, Tariq Woolen, he is probably going to get dealt by the Seattle Seahawks before the NFL trade deadline. And the Vikings having somewhat of a need at the third cornerback spot with, Jeff Okudah, he's been fine here and there. But the Vikings really only have two corners they trust. It would make some sense to trade for Riq Woolen. Now, Riq Woolen, 6'4" corner from UTSA, big body, kind of plays like a Xavier Rhodes type of corner where like he excels in press man, can get kind of lost in coverage, which I feel like you also have to be in a very intelligent corner to play in the Flores system, which I'm not saying real Riq Woolen isn't that, but just understanding, what you're trying to accomplish on every single play, like having a smarter corner could play some more benefit. But Riq Woolen, in terms of just natural athletic ability, this guy's got it all. Like, I would love to see also Brian Flores, if he had a corner like that, if he would just say, hey, more of like shut down that side of the field with the corner, because he doesn't really do that with Murphy and Isaiah Rodgers. So should the Vikings trade for Riq Woolen? I think I'd be in. I think I'd do it. Z Cool, what's going on? Options saying keep Wentz in and have a potential to win more now, or play JJ and let him develop to win more later. What say Pat? It's a great question, and this is probably the topic of the week for us Vikings fans. Now, I'm kind of split because if JJ McCarthy is fully 100% healthy, I say you roll him out there no matter what. Like, even though you got the Carson Wentz revenge game storyline, even though I think that's a little overblown, like it's been years since he's been in Philadelphia. So I think that's a little overblown. But I also do agree with you that Wentz does give you a better chance to win that Week 7 game. But if you play Wentz and you don't play JJ, does that give you a better chance of winning Week 8? Does that give you a better chance of winning Week 9? I don't necessarily think so. So what I would do, I would play JJ. And if you could somehow get a win with JJ versus the Eagles, like how great would we feel heading into the rest of the season? He needs the reps. He needs to develop because, again, it comes down to what is the goal of this season? Is the goal of this season to win a Week 7 game against the Eagles, or is the goal to win a playoff game? The goal is to win the playoff game. And if you are going to win that, it's got to be because JJ McCarthy develops. So tough question here. Not saying there's a right answer to it, but if I was calling the shots, I would let McCarthy develop. Jason Robinson coming in saying, much love, Pat. O-line shocked versus the nasty Browns defense. Brandell at center, he looked very comfortable for never taking a single snap. I know. I was still stunned that Brandell never took a snap at center, and I think he only had like one low snap out of the gun, which, I mean, we'll take. Like, I thought that was going to be a major issue against the Browns. I thought snaps were going to be flying all over the place, but he did a pretty solid job there. Now, in terms of who's going to be the center, when Michael Juergens is back, I would probably guess the Vikings coaching staff would turn it back over to Juergens, but personally for me, I would like to see Blake Brandell out there because what a massive offensive line you would have. Obviously, Darisaw and O'Neal, massive guys. Donovan Jackson and Fries, massive guys. And you got a 6'7" center in the middle with Blake Brandell. I would roll out with him, but I would give my guess that the Vikings turn back to Michael Juergens as he should be healthy for the Week 7 matchup. But Jason Robinson, great question there. I thought Blake Brandell looked very, very solid playing center this past week. Corey Miller saying, do you think JJ's development is similar or more similar to Josh Allen, or do the Wink have to wait longer for him to develop? Well, Josh Allen took a couple of years to develop. I think it was like really year 3 he hit his stride. Now, I would hope it doesn't take that long for JJ. Now, obviously, him turning into Josh Allen's not going to happen. Like, Josh Allen's a once-in-a-lifetime type of quarterback. But also, yes, like, we will need to wait for JJ because that also was his scouting profile coming out. Like, we knew McCarthy was not going to be a surefire, like, he's ready to play like a guy like Bo Nix, who was 24 years old coming out. Bo Nix is now 25. Like, JJ is still 22 years old, turns 23 in January. So So this guy still has a lot of room to grow, just one, as an athlete. Like, he's not even close to his athletic prime just yet. And, yeah, fans just need to be patient with him. I understand. We live in this microwave society where we want results instantly. We want these guys to come out there. We want them to start humming right away. But it's going to take McCarthy some time to develop. So that's why you need to get him out there versus the Eagles. You need to get him out there ASAP. Because also, if you don't play him the rest of the year, which obviously is not going to happen, like, then we still have the same question heading into next season. Like, we got to get an answer at that quarterback spot. So I don't know if it's similar to Josh Allen, but I do think he will be a slow burner like Josh Allen was, Corey. So appreciate you for getting that question in there. Skyler coming in saying the Vikings should trade for Breece Hall. I think the Vikings are all right on Breece Hall. Breece Hall is a hell of a running back, but with Aaron Jones probably going to be back in the fold this week, are you really going to have a three-headed monster at the running back position with already Jefferson, Addison? Like, there would just be a lot of mouths to feed offensively because Breece Hall would need touches. Especially if you trade for him, like, you're going to utilize him, so he'll have to get the football. Mason would have to get the football. Jones would have to get the football, and it's only in the run game. That doesn't even incorporate, like, Jefferson, Addison, Hockenson, even a guy like Naylor getting his touches. So should the Vikes trade for Breece Hall? I'm going to say no on that. Would also probably have to cost you like a fourth, fifth, maybe even a third-round pick. So Breece Hall is a hell of a player. If the Vikings had a major need at the running back position, I would be talking about this every single day, but they really don't trust in Jordan Mason. That's what I would say. But let me ask you guys this. Name a former Vikings player to add to this roster. I asked you guys this a good amount of time on our live shows. I always think this is an interesting question because, one, you got to incorporate, like, who are some of the best Vikings players of all time, and then, what also are the positions of need. If I had to add a former Vikings player, my answer to this has always been 2017 Xavier Rhodes. I think I'm going to stick to that. I think this defense, like, when they are healthy with Cashman and Van Ginkel, or maybe even you could even go like the Williams bros. Like, if you get Pat and Kevin Williams on the inside of that defensive line, or John Randall, obviously. I think I would go 2017 Xavier Rhodes there. Get that true lockdown corner. One of the best corner seasons I've ever seen. But curious to see what you guys have to say. Name a former Vikings player to add to this roster. Now we'll get to more of your guys' questions here in a sec. Before we do so, got to tell you about our sponsor, that being Factor Meals. Now, if you guys want to eat smart, head over to factormeals.com/VikingSchat50 off and use promo code VikingSchat50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Now, fall always feels like a reset between back to school, busy routines, and shorter days. Finding time to cook can be tough. That's why I love Factor. Their chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals make it easy to stay on track and enjoy something comforting and delicious, no matter how hectic the season gets. Obviously, covering the Vikings here at Chat Sports. Live a busy lifestyle. Don't always feel like making a home-cooked meal when I get off of work. That's where Factors came in and has completely changed my life. You guys can choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp at no extra cost. And if you guys are a health nut, you guys can enjoy even more GLP-1 friendly meals and new Mediterranean diet options packed with protein and good-for-you fats. So head on over to factormeals.com/VikingChat50 off. Use promo code VikingChat50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code VikingChat50 off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Now, this offer is only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Fig Beller coming in. What's going on, Fig? Saying, #Vikings. Why sign Ryan Kelly with the history of his concussions? Well, I mean, you needed a center. Like, you let Garrett Bradbury go. And obviously, Drew Dahlman ended up going to the Chicago Bears. So, like, I understand it doesn't look good now, but it's also like the concussion history with Kelly, it was an issue, but with the two concussions he suffered recently, then it made it like a major issue. I don't really think heading into the season, like, yes, that was something we were talking about, but it wasn't like something where it's like, oh, Kelly had 4 concussions the last 2 years. I'm pretty sure only had 2 leading up to the 2 he suffered this season. So I understand it doesn't really sound, too good to sign a center who is one older, has a lengthy injury history. So, yeah, why sign Ryan Kelly? I think the answer to that is like, hey, the Vikings need a center. And also they wanted to have that veteran for JJ, snapping him the football, which I like that thought process here. Listen, if I had to redo the Kelly signing this offseason, I would do it again. And even if he comes back after his concussions, he's on short-term IR, so it'll give him some time to, fully recover for him. He could still have a great year. Even when he played, he looked good. So it's just the concussions are definitely a kick in the balls. But, hopefully he's able to, get right and have a good remainder of the season. El Jefe saying, can Brandel be a feasible medium or long-term option at center? I'm going to say probably not. I think this is just overreacting to the game he had against the Cleveland Browns. Now, listen, I thought he looked good. No, I don't know offensive linemen. Like, the guys at PFF know offensive linemen, but they still graded him out in the 40s, so they didn't really think he performed too well. Now, I think maybe a short-term option while Ryan Kelly is hurt, 100%. But I don't think this is something like year over year, El Jefe, where like, all right, every single year, Brandel's are starting center. I don't think that would be a conversation whatsoever. But short-term, 100%. Medium or long-term option at center, I'm going to probably say no. JJ McDarty coming in saying, do you think we'll finally be done with this injury bug, or is this going to be a repeat issue as the seemingly prone individuals get back in the field? Seems like we're made of glass. Now, I really don't have a good answer for you. Like, it very well could be. Also considering, like, a lot of these injuries are, like, reoccurring injuries for a lot of these guys, where it's like Van Ginkel, he had the concussion, or he started off actually with the neck injury during training camp, had the concussion, was able to come back, then he re-aggravated the neck injury. Like, the Van Ginkel injury is something I think could be a huge factor for the rest of the season, but Blake Cashman with the hammy, he'll probably be all right. That's not really – now, it is something that can linger, but they put him on short-term IR, so I think his hamstring will be 110% healthy. But in terms of this team, feeling like we're made of glass, yeah, it feels like that right now, but also none of these injuries that the Vikings suffered were season-ending, which I think is massive. Because if you would have lost, like, Brian O'Neill for the year, if you would have lost even Ryan Kelly or Van Ginkel or Cashman for the year, that would have been a huge detriment to what we are trying to accomplish. But, again, we can still accomplish everything us fans wanted this team to accomplish before the season. It is still fully 110% on the table. So, McDarty, appreciate your question. But I'm going to say we're hopefully finally done with the injury bug. Obviously, this is a fluky thing. I don't think like these injuries should repeat themselves, but maybe that's just me being too optimistic and drinking too much purple Kool-Aid. So I will say, hopefully the Vikings are done with the injury bug. Astro saying, when do you think J.J. McCarthy will play at 100% of his potential? And do you think these injuries he's having for the last season and this season are affecting his full potential? I'll answer the first one here first. When do you think J.J. McCarthy will play at 100% of his potential? Probably when he's 25, 26 years old. So, again, that's why I am preaching patience to Vikings fans, because he's 22, 25, 26. That's going to be 3 or 4 football seasons from now. Now, you are hoping where when JJ is at maybe 80, 90% of his potential, like this team can go on deep playoff runs. Now, about his injuries, do you think this is affecting him reaching his full potential? Abso-freaking-lutely. Like, if this guy was able to, even though last year I don't think he would have gotten in, maybe when Darnold had that one rush stretch against the AFC South opponents, maybe they would have turned it over to JJ. But this year, 110%, because it's not like the Vikings set it up so nicely. Like, you can get great development off the field. Like, you got the VR headsets, you got Kevin O'Connell, Josh McCown, but the real reps for a quarterback in the NFL come during the games. So him just missing these games, obviously this has played a big factor in him. Because right now, I don't even think he's near his potential. I don't even think he's at 10% of his potential of who he can be as an NFL quarterback. But if he played in all 5 games this season, like he's probably closer to 20-25%. But we will see him take massive strides during the second half of the season. There is no doubt in my mind. I could see him struggling versus Philly, but then he's just going to get 1% better each and every day. So, again, Vikings fans, believe in this kid. He's got the right mindset. He's got all the tools in the toolbox to be a successful NFL quarterback, but he's got to stay healthy. That's probably my biggest concern with McCarthy right now is nothing, on the field or nothing that he's shown me. It's just an injury bug. Like, he's got to get out there on the football field. But if you guys made it to the end, you guys are the best fans in the world. We appreciate you guys watching this entire thing. And if you did watch this entire thing, hit me with a SKOL down below in the comment section. And we'll see you guys next time. As always, SKOL Vikes.